Porsche Carrera Cup.
Porsche Carrera Cup.
25 drivers, 8
Piloten,
nationalities, 1 goal. The fastest German brand cup in its 23rd season, which is quite unique. Even a lady is battling for honors. A living racing legend, Walter Röhrl, is also fascinated.
Ein Auto, das 450 PS hat.
450 horsepower in a car. 20 years ago, nobody could imagine that. On the other hand, it is very much the feeling of how much power you get onto work. There's no doubt about whether you have turning wheels or a lack of grip. With this car, you get all the pure power on the track.
Hier habe ich 450 PS und die bringe ich wirklich auf die Straße.
19 years of professional racing. Rally World Champion in 1980 and 82. He's even been honored as the rally driver of the century. Meanwhile, a Porsche representative, nobody else, knows better about the Porsche power from Zuffenhausen. One of the main differences between a race car and a street car is the race car is much lower to get the balance point closer to the ground, which is good for handling. Yet another aspect is to improve the aerodynamic with this huge rear spoiler. That creates output on the rear suspension and makes it more solid.
Bleibt auf der Hinterachse stabiler und ist dementsprechend im Fahrverhalten auch schneller und besser.
But this is obviously not the only difference.
Hier im Innenraum sieht man die
In the
Versteifungen,
cabin, you
das
can
heißt,
see
das
all the
Auto
bracing
ist
and
wesentlich
strengthenings.
steifer wie das Serienauto.
That makes the
Ist
car
ganz
much
wichtig
stiffer than
beim
a street car.
Rennbetrieb,
It
damit
reacts
das Auto
straighter
alle
on orders
Befehle,
the
die der
driver
Fahrer
gives. No deformation, no twisting.
direkt auf die
Straight.
Straße bringt. Es ist keine Verbindung des Autos, sondern alles geht ganz direkt. Und man sieht sehr
And as you can
puristisch,
see,
man
of
versucht,
course,
das
it is
Gewicht
quite
natürlich
pure
des
equipped
Autos
to just bring
herunterzubringen.
down the total weight. 200 kilo less than the street car version, the 911 GT3 Cup has improved aerodynamic, brakes and engine torque. Here in action, Michael Ammermüller. This weekend, Spielberg, Austria, stage 4 of the calendar. In 2011, reopened the Red Bull Ring. Very known for his altitude differences and applies to be a very challenging track. In his opening event in 2011, the former A1 ring delivered quite spectacular racing at its best. But for one of the most successful Porsche drivers, these are no good memories. René Rast. He stopped his 911 already in the first round. Bad prediction for the overall leader? It was Jaap van Lagen and further champion Nick Tandy battling head-to-head. With only rounds to go, Tandy made the decisive mistake, losing control over his car and finally the race, when Jaap van Lagen pulled away for his first victory in the Porsche Carrera Cup. The rest is pure celebration.
Servus aus Spielberg und das ist unser Heimspiel.
The Red Bull Ring, once in a year, it's gonna be noisy around the Bull. All eyes are focused on the national starters from Austria. Special attention for Norbert Siedler and Philipp Eng.
Ja, stimmt.
The pole setter from Nürburgring Nordschleife, again with a good qualifying. P3 for race 1. The 20-year-old will start from 7 in race 2. The other local hero even one place ahead. P2 for the Tyrolean. Additionally, P4 for Sunday's main race. But Austria's beauties were amazed by an Englishman. Sean Edwards dominated the session. Very impressive how he gained double pole. The last week's Super Cup Monaco champ, the ultimate benchmark in the 911 GT3 Cup.
Yeah, it was perfect. Double pole here, so thanks to the team, the car was really perfect today. And to be honest, I didn't think it would be going that fast, but it was just a perfect lap, and then my second lap was also good enough for the second pole. So
The best qualifier of the current season with pole 4 and 5. Let's race. After 2011's second race at the Red Bull Ring, 23 cars in the grid, but how does it feel having home court advantage?
Ich bin zwar aus Tirol, aber
Oh yes, I'm from Tyrol, but this is a home court race for me. It's great to see all the spectators and all the fun on the track, and the track is outstanding.
Du dass langsame Kurven drin sind, schnelle Kurven und ist eigentlich super für die Fahrer.
Right after the start, Norbert Siedler from P2 trying to pull ahead, but pole setter Sean Edwards closes the door with a great and legal maneuver. Right behind, Philipp Eng loses P3 to Kevin Esdre. The Frenchman wins the middle lane and cruises on P3 in the first corner. In the slow motion, you can see how good Sean Edwards' move was. Further action in round 1. Kevin Esdre and Norbert Siedler attacking Sean Edwards. Did you see that? I got it. In round 3, nobody could stop Norbert Siedler. He overwhelmed Sean Edwards in the corner with a brilliant race maneuver. More action then in round 13. And a crash with consequences. Howard Force bumps Ilya Earhart in the dust. René Rast, Sean Edwards and Jaap van Lagen didn't recognize the yellow flag in the further time. Too fast in several sectors, 30 seconds penalty. The battle for P4 between Klaus Bachler and Clemens Schmid is in a battle for a podium as the result of the punish. Great racing by the Porsche Junior. Still in front, Norbert Siedler, leading the race from round 3 on. He gained his first victory and the first season victory for Conrad Motorsport. Runner-up, Sean Edwards, and third at checkered flag is Kevin Esdre. Fourth, Jaap van Lagen, and fifth, René Rast. Celebrating Conrad Bridge. Yes, home court advantage did help for Norbert Siedler. Kevin Esdre claiming the overall lead with his second place and sensational podium for Klaus Bachler. This was definitely the key scene of the race. Yeah, it's definitely a pity. We didn't see the yellow flag and we pushed ahead and tried to get our best round times. But in the further time we didn't recognize any other yellow flag, and now it's just a pity for us. A well-deserved victory for Austrian Norbert Siedler. Yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy for my team, and with my team they did a great job. We delivered well, and I had a good start, and I took over to Sean Edwards in round 3. In the further I had some problems, but it was a well-deserved victory.
Hello everyone, welcome to an early morning start here at the Red Bull Ring in the beautiful Styrian Mountains of Austria, coming up the second of the two Carrera Cup races this weekend. And we're looking down the grid here at Nicky Tim. Yeah, welcome everyone, I'm Andrew Marriott, joined here by Sean Hollenby, well-known British racer. And we had a lot of controversy yesterday, Sean.
Yes, I mean, it was a very, very good Porsche race, and Edwards was pushing Seidler hard going into the final few laps. But unfortunately, they handed out some post-checkered flag penalties, which put Edwards and Rast and a few others back down the field for exceeding the track limits.
And that meant going wide off the track because there's a lot of tarmac runoff here.
That's right.
So we've got this scene down here. We had an Austrian evening in the Porsche hospitality last night. Very entertaining it was too, and it seems to be continuing here on the grid.
That's right. I think these guys have carried on since last night, so they're pretty tired out, I would have thought.
And interesting stuff just before we came on air. Walter Rule there talking about the differences of the race going and road going 9/11. And of course we saw the highlights of the race here last year when Jaap van Lagen defeated Nick Tandy after that big battle. Jaap van Lagen is here racing, and Nick Tandy no longer in this series, but his car is now being driven by Norbert Seidler. We just heard him being interviewed, and Seidler, we spoke to him last night, and he told me that although they'd had problems during the season, they'd only made a few small changes to here, and quite frankly didn't know why the car was now fast. So it had been fast in the races but not so quick in qualifying, and that's what been their problem coming into this weekend. Norbert Seidler was down in 9th place in the championship, although of course he's been having a great season in the Porsche Super Cup. That's the similar series to this, which runs alongside the Grand Prix, and many of the cars and drivers are indeed common to both series. So here we are, Spielberg. We're off on the warm-up lap here. This new format for the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland for 2012 with two shorter races. Here is the grid. This was based on the qualifying from yesterday, and Sean Edwards is who's on the pole from the young Frenchman Kevin Estre. Jaap van Lagen, winner a year ago, is third. Then it's Norbert Seidler, Nicky Tim, Rennie Rast, Philip Eng, Amon Muller going down through the field. Had a very good result from one of the young Porsche drivers, and we were hearing about the shootout last night as well that determined who got that drive, but Klaus Bachler coming home third, one of the 6 Austrians in this race, and that's why we had the Austrian celebrations. Right at the back there, Everett Voss has been put back 3 or 4 places on the grid for another indiscretion. A lot of indiscretions here, but I think everyone will be respecting the track limits. There we see the 4.3 kilometre circuit, and 19 laps equals 82 kilometres, or if you're English, it's just a tad over 50 miles. So it really is a sprint race, and the cars just winding their way round this track here. As we say, it's just past 9 o'clock here, and the temperature 19 degrees. So quite a warm morning. Looks as if it's going to be pretty hot later in the day for the DTM race, which will come up, and the Formula 3, and big program of racing here this weekend. Even prior to this Porsche race, we had a Renault Clio Cup event, so normal sort of Renault Clio Cup clashes. So good racing conditions, I think, Sean.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the big difference between today and yesterday is that it's much cooler now, because obviously it's earlier in the day, and I think it was quite muggy when they were out yesterday, and that makes quite a big difference to the setup of something as complicated as a Porsche Cup car, which has a lot of suspension changes and also a lot of aerodynamics. So I'm sure that some of the engineers and the drivers will have made a few tweaks to compensate for that.
So here we are, the yellow car, and there's 3 of those in the Deutsche Post colours. Sean Edwards, who has been the fastest driver this season, but missed out at the opening round at Hockenheim when he had a puncture when he was leading. And he is the only man who's won 2 of these races. He won the second Hockenheim race and the second Lausitzring race. So, obviously, hugely disappointed yesterday to get that penalty that effectively dropped him out of the point. There is Norbert Seidler the Austrian, the Porsche shop car. Franz Conrad running that car. As the lights go to 5, they go out, and Edwards gets a good start. No question out about that. One of the other, I think it was Christensen, was it, that was coming through well in the third yellow car. And interesting stuff. Just
as Estra, I think, managed to squeak himself alongside, but then locked his front tyres going into the first corner, but he still held him in second place. What we saw yesterday was that Edwards was quite slow over the first couple of laps and was under pressure from Seidler. And now he's got Estra and about 4 or 5 others right behind him as well.
Yeah, Seidler's right there, and a great group of yellow and blue and white cars all together. Lots of elevation changes here. That's one of the great features of this track, which originally we knew as the Österreich-Ring. It was longer then. And a big shunt at the back there, and I think that was the lady driver from Denmark, the young girl from Denmark.
Christina Nielsen, I think I could see from the back there.
Sure, that was her. Now, could that bring out yellow? They are sweeping back down the valley side with Edwards, whose father is a well-known driver, did some Formula 1 racing with the sponsorship guru Guy Edwards. And Sean based in Monte Carlo. Let's have a look at what's going on in the back.
Seem to push across again.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite clear that there's a car there on the left, or maybe some earlier contact from the other side as well.
And one of those green and white Land Motorsport Dutch entered cars getting involved. Couldn't see which one of the pair it was.
I think Christina got concertinaed and pushed in the middle of the two cars. The car on the left actually came off the curbing and veered over to the right-hand side, so she was caught in the middle there. But yes, I would have thought this is probably going to be a safety car. Having said that, it's not at the moment. But
well, it must be, surely. The car's sideways across the track.
Exactly, yeah.
She walks away, obviously.
There we go, there's a safety car now. So, yes, that'll take a few minutes to come through. Edwards actually looked pretty strong there, stronger than he did in yesterday's first lap or so when he was very much under pressure. He'd opened himself up a couple of tenths, which is actually enough on the first lap of one of these Porsche Cup races, as long as you're not sort of supremely under pressure. But I'm sure we'll see that start again. Estra got a fantastic start, managed to edge his way up on the inside, but I'm not sure how much of a damage that will have done to his front tyres with that lock-up, because it was quite a big lock-up.
It was just being, very brave indeed, I would have said, to make that move.
Yeah,
Kevin Estra is a Frenchman. Doesn't sound very French, so Kevin Estra, but he is indeed French. And
maybe he's close to the channel, possibly.
Maybe, yeah. And he's been a sort of standout driver in the Porsche Carrera Cup in France, but it was also the Rookie of the Year in the Deutschland version last season.
So again, you can see it's very close out of the hairpin, but I think later in this shot you'll see the car that's on left-hand side of the track comes off of the curbs, under power. There he is.
Yeah, he is.
Spears across to the right, which creates a little bit of a ping-pong effect between the two cars.
A pinball effect, wasn't it? Yeah.
Here we go, it's another view of it we haven't seen yet. Yeah, it comes... Oh, no, it's not that. Here we go. That's the one. Comes
Two guys did the same thing. The first guy got away with it in the red car. But after that, we had this chain reaction. Bang, into the barrier.
Christina Nielsen, a bit of an innocent party there.
Afraid she was, yeah.
We're coming down to this downhill hairpin. Again, it's very easy to lock your brakes here as you come down. A quite big, heavy car. Again, car having to take heavily to the curb there to avoid contact. But I should think we'll have at least one more lap of safety car here. Yeah,
the other car that, the one that got cannoned into Christine, I think was Harry Colan. One of the Dutch drivers in the B category. There's a gentleman driver B category in this.
Yeah, I've just seen him go through the shot there, so he's still carrying on, but it was quite hefty contact, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some damage to that car as well. Quite easy to put your tracking out, possibly create a sidewall damage in the tyre, which maybe later creates a problem with a puncture.
Yep. And Voss was involved in as well. The man who got a penalty. In fact, it might have been Voss.
Possibly.
Teammate, yes.
So here's Estra getting a good start. Edwards squeezes him up against the pit wall, but again, it's a shame for Estra there. Locks his front tyres, not quite as bad from that angle on the tyres. Again, a few of them running wide, bumping over the speed bumps there. Shame for Estre. I think he actually shouldn't have left his braking quite so late, as he safely had the inside line.
And you don't see it so well there, but those little red lines on that is actually a circular speed bump. And we've seen people yesterday taking off in Formula 3 and even in the DTM over those and getting, as they say in rallying, lots of air.
Yes, that's right. There they launch out. And again, Edwards squeezes him across. Good racing from both of them. Gave each other just enough room. But again, you can see Estre here should have been nice and safe, but again, just got a little bit too excited on the brakes and let himself drift wide. Didn't lose too much space though, but again, at this point, he should have been in the lead now.
Yeah. So we're under full course yellow at the moment. Led round by the Audi. And this race is 19 laps, but if the 19 laps are not complete at the end of the time, and we've got 29 minutes remaining, then they'll wave the checkered flag. So it's quite possible that they might wave it a lap or two early.
That's a fantastic shot to show you exactly the huge change in gradient we've got here. We're up on the side of a mountain, and just in the background you can see the sort of full extent of that. But what that does make on a quite a heavy car like a Porsche GT3, brakes and tyres get a good hammering when you're braking downhill into tighter left-hand corners, like this corner here. Again, it's very important to look after your tyres over, even though it's only a 20-minute race, definitely tyres will go off if you've set your car to be more aggressive at the start of the race. As the race progresses, then the tyres will go off, and then you're losing lap time. But it's, again, important to get track position at the start, which is what Edwards has done at the start.
They're going to do at least another lap under this safety car. We saw them just craning the damaged Danish-driven car out of the way, but that might take another lap or so. Did also see in the middle of the track a big arch with a metal bull. This obviously is the Red Bull ring. That is a absolutely humongous sculpture when you get close to it. It's absolutely vast.
Yeah, you definitely know you're in Red Bull country, don't you?
You do here, yep. So, Edwards, Estre, Team, Seeler, Rast, Van Lagen, Backler, Christensen, who's the other Porsche junior driver, and Jan. And see, they still haven't got this sorted, have they? I think we're having this and another lap before they do.
Yeah, I had a similar situation yesterday in the Scirocco Cup, much the same sort of incident actually, and they did seem to take 2 or 3 laps to clear what should have been something that pulled out the way probably in a lap or so, which is a bit of a shame because I think we've got some good racing going on here, but it's good for Edwards. I mean, yesterday he could have probably done with his safety car yesterday actually. He's got a good start, but it was right under pressure from Seidler. Seidler as well I saw got a good start. Still in 4th place there as well, but we've got some quick guys. I mean, I would say any one of the top, 6 or 7 is in contention for a podium here. Yeah, and there's Colin, who was involved in that incident. He's still carrying on round.
Yeah, I couldn't see any damage on that car, so it couldn't have been him. It must have been Voss. And
well, Voss had a penalty yesterday for unnecessary contact.
Yes.
Which ended up with another car spearing off into the Armco and then the gravel. But I think again that was just a bit of a racing incident, that one where 3 into 2 doesn't go.
Yeah, well, it's now had more unnecessary racing contact, but not of his volition. So the yellow flags are waved, and I think will be for another minute or so as everyone gets ready. Once you start thinking when you're driving around like this, Sean, just on the warm-up, look at the track condition a bit.
Well, the most important thing, as you can see there, is to keep heat in the tyres. That's the key area, but also to keep heat in the brakes. I mean, we saw at the first start there with Estre locking his fronts. I would say that's a little bit, didn't get quite enough heat into the brakes at the start, or maybe a little bit too much pressure towards the front. But the key thing is make sure that when you get that restart, you've got enough heat in your tyres, enough heat in the brakes, so that the first time you go into the first corner, you're super confident of exactly how much grip you've got. The job that Edwards has got, and looking up there now, looks like I think we're going to be coming past the crash site any second, but they've moved that car. It's just coming off the track now. So we should see a race start at this lap. So what Edwards will be looking at here, he'll see that car being moved off the track. He'll be thinking much the same thing. Right, okay, we're looking at a race start. He's going to be now trying to get a gap. He wants to make a good restart so that he's not under pressure at that first corner, and he can then control the pace. And again, he controls the pace as the pole man, but he'll be backing the field up and then looking for an ideal point to put the hammer down and increase his lead.
Of course, tyre temperature also affects the tyre pressure, and so you're keeping the pressure of the tyre up as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely at the start of the race, as an example, you might start at 21, 22 psi, but by the end of the race, you'll be up to sort of 28, 31 psi, and the tyre temp will have gone up, but also because of that pressure, then the performance of the tyre will have dropped.
Yes.
But so you start them artificially low to get an average over the whole race. But obviously under safety car, you're not putting as much temperature as you go in. Well, the lights are still flashing on the safety car here. So
the truck with the damaged Porsche on it was sort of looking for a way out as far as I could see. So it's going to be it's on our timing screen now. It's running in 22nd place.
Right. He's probably one of the fastest cars on the track at the minute.
Yeah, they always joke about that at Le Mans. Sometimes the safety cars in 14th place when they've had a lot of incidents. And of course Le Mans with a lot of Porsches as well. Test day today prior to the race in a couple of weeks' time. Always get excited about that. Porsche, of course, the most magnificent record at Le Mans, as we go for at least one more lap. And I'm pretty sure we won't run the full 19 now. There's 23 minutes remaining. Air temperature just 20. And everyone getting ready to go again.
We mentioned briefly as well how the Porsche 911 design has got its DNA going back for sort of 30, 40 years even.
Yep.
And you can very easily recognise a 911. These are very aggressive looking racing cars, quite deep splitters, big rear wing. And they do look like a proper racing car. Porsche always make a nice looking racing car, Andy.
Yeah, they do. And they've been running these Carrera Cup and indeed the Super Cup for many, many years now. And I think there's about 30 different Carrera Cup competitions around the world. Incidentally, just seeing on our message board that Voss, the number 4 guy, he is under investigation for causing an avoidable collision. Now, that guy could be in big trouble, I think, because, you know, he was in trouble yesterday. And
well, if he was the guy, I couldn't quite see from the angles, if he was the guy who was coming off of the grass and speared over to the right, then fair play.
I didn't think he was. I think he got hit, and then he hit Christensen. But, I mean, it means it's under investigation. They'll have a look at the video, same that we had.
So what we've got here is the lights are now out in the safety car. So Edwards is going to be looking as much in his rear mirror as in his front windscreen. He's looking to try and catch Estra unawares. He'll be weaving and then suddenly nail the throttle and try and gain an advantage. Again, any second now he's going to hit that throttle. Any second. There he goes, I think.
Yeah, he's off, isn't he? And he's got Estra right after him, though. Estra's pretty close.
Good job. Yeah, he's really hung on the back. That's the important thing. Get nailed. His engineer would have been pushing him to stay nailed on the back bumper of Edwards, not to let him get advantage. Good restart from both the front two. And team has dropped back a little bit there.
Estra came out of slipstream briefly, just to have a little look. Decided against it. Edwards up that steep incline. And the whole of racing, that is one of the steepest inclines that I've ever seen. There's something similar at Bathurst, but it is very, very steep, that.
And Seidler defending heavily from Ross there as they come into the hairpins and they come up at the hill. Ross looking fast. He was 4th yesterday until the penalty, I think. And again, he was probably at some points the quickest guy on the circuit, but just didn't manage to force his way forward. But I'm sure he wants to take advantage of these early post safety car laps. But Estra again still pushing Edwards.
Yeah, Rene's had lots of success in Carrera Cups and indeed in the Super Cup, former Super Cup champion. So he knows these cars extremely well. Came up through saloon car ranks. He's not a single-seater boy. But Rust, he made his way through the Polo Cup, I think, and his other similar one-make saloon car championships, and then into Porsches. He's become very much a fixture here. But Edwards not able to pull away.
And there is Seidler. Oh, again, who was that just behind them? I think that's Van Lagen, I think.
That's Van Lagen, yeah.
Pushed onto the grass just as those two were defending, and he's lost 2 or 3 places, or 4 or 5 places, yeah. So he won't be happy with that last year's winner.
The Uponor sponsored car, that's an underfloor heating company.
And there's Rast having a look at Seidler. Yes, he's got his nose inside. Yeah, very tidy move. Seidler saw him coming, gave him enough space. But again, that's actually left Bachler getting a bit of a run on Seidler. So at the moment, Seidler doesn't seem to have the pace that he had yesterday, Andy.
Certainly doesn't, does he?
No, he said Bachler's looking for a run into the hairpin here, I would have thought. If he's brave enough, he might dive up the inside, and I think he is. Yes, he does. A little bit of contact.
Oh.
No, Bachler drove well there, but he's now lost place for the car just behind him, and again they're side by side.
That's always the compromise, isn't it? If you make the attack and it doesn't work, then sometimes you go backwards rather than forwards.
And again, I think Bachler showed maybe a little bit of inexperience, and really I think he should have been a little bit more forceful. He had the space there just to push inside Seidler, and he'd have made that position stick, but as it is, he's lost the position himself. And Rast has pulled away from Seidler, and Seidler's now got a gaggle of 4 or 5 cars queuing up behind him. Yeah, he definitely hasn't got the pace that he had yesterday.
No, Van Lagen seems to have recovered, and there is attacking the 7 car of Christensen. So the 2 Porsche Junior drivers, although they're with different teams, remarkably closely matched.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing with the Porsche Super Cup is there's very little you can change compared to a big GT car. So it is very much to do with the driver. A good driver will make a Super Cup car or a Carrera Cup car go well around a track.
Edwards, Estra, Team, Rast, Seidler, Jan, who's going well, Bachler and Christensen. David Jan, haven't mentioned him too much yet. And this is, I think, his best run to date.
And Edwards is looking strong. This is what I thought I saw yesterday, which over the first couple of laps he's under pressure, but he's got a good car underneath him for a full race distance. And now he's pulled himself out to around about a second lead. So here's that overtake from Rast, dives down quite a long way back actually. Seidler saw him coming but gave him enough room. So definitely Norbert's not as strong as he was yesterday, otherwise I'm sure he'd be a little bit more defensive than he was there. And here's the move from Bachler. If you see here, he does get 3/4. I reckon if he'd have been a little bit more forceful, he could have pushed his way through there. But again, it's a compromise between, you don't want to damage the car because then it compromises your race as well.
He had to come off the throttle, didn't he? And that lost him a bit of momentum as Rast just gets the fastest sector overall for Sector 1. So he's still on a good lap. It's a Toro Rosso fan in the grandstands cheering him on.
Yeah, so Ross, the man on the move, and again he's fastest in Sector 2 as well. We saw it a few times in yesterday's race though, he'd pop in the fastest sectors but didn't string it all together, but he's definitely closed on team in 3rd place, and based on yesterday's performance he should get past Nicky quite quickly.
Just saw a good shot of Philip Fromweiler, the 77 car. Edwards now with a 1 second lead over Estra. 9 of the 19 laps are in the book.
So we got Bachler there under pressure from Christensen still. So again, those 2 young guns at it. I'm sure they'll be out to impress the Porsche hierarchy here to be the highest placed junior.
One guy who's disappointing today is Ammermuller, who had quite a distinguished career in single-seaters. Seem to remember he won a GP2 race. He certainly was a Red Bull test driver for a while, and Ammermuller trying to rebuild his career, the spectacled driver.
Well, the impressive thing with the Porsche Cup, and a lot of single-seater guys go there, is that you can, become a career driver.
Yeah.
And it's a good step up into GTs where there are a lot of drivers earning money, whereas in single-seater route, you haven't got that, that option. And sometimes all you're doing is trying to chase sponsorship to get the next drive, whereas in GTs and the Porsche Cup you can actually earn a good living. So there's Bachler still under pressure from Christensen. Again, Rast is quick, and Seidler seems to have picked up the pace a little bit as well. He's fastest in sector 2, so maybe his car was set up a little bit more progressively to be over a longer distance, and that safety car earlier in the race won't have helped him. So we've got Backler here, who seems to have edged away from Christensen, and Rast is edging up onto him. There's Estra, there's Tim, there's Rast again over those speed bumps, if you like, coming out of there. And again, you've got Christensen now, who's under pressure from Van Lagen, tucked up behind that rear spoiler, so coming down. Christensen will hold the inside for the hairpin. There's Van Lagen just popping out from the toe, but I think he'll struggle to get round the outside of the hairpin. Yeah, no, so that he'll maybe try the cut back. No, Christensen's sensible, holds the middle ground coming out and then holds the inside for the next corner. So good driving, but that will allow Backler to pull away in front of them. And again, they'll probably be side by side coming back. And then we've got a battle just behind them, which includes Muller as well. Again, side by side, but again, I doubt he's going to make that stick unless he can hang out around the outside. Christensen should force him wide, as he did out onto the dirt.
Yeah. So the gap between Edwards and Estra still just 1 second, and their lap times within a 1/10 of a second of each other. So can Sean Edwards hang on here? And I suspect this will put him back into the lead of the championship. Seems to be a battle these days, as it goes almost a half distance between Rast, Edwards and Estra for the title. Of course, last year it was Edwards versus Nick Tandy, and it was a very close battle, ultimately ending in the benefit of Nick Tandy, but Edwards came close. Backler 7th, Christensen 8th, and Lagen, Schmid, Ammermuller, Frommenweiler, Laser, Pivoda, Mayerl. Mayerl, I believe, is one of the B category drivers. He must be leading that. He won it yesterday. Barazetti, who's racing under an assumed name. Well, his assumed name is Bill Barazetti. I'm not sure why. There'll be a reason.
One of the earlier shots of that lap, I saw quite a few of the cars putting all 4 wheels over the white line on the second to last corner, and I was just having a little look outside the commentary box here to see if anybody was getting any warning flags, and I haven't seen anything, and nothing on the board.
And we've got a screen, of course, tells us also, but we haven't seen anything on that.
No, that's right. So, but I am surprised that, you know, so many of them are putting wheels over the white lines, considering that we had penalties yesterday, you know, which cost Edwards and Rast, you know, potential podiums. Well, definite podiums, because they'd already crossed the line when they had the penalty.
Yeah, exactly. It confused us mightily at the time.
Which is very easy to do sometimes. But so you've got Seidler now starting to home in on Rast. Again, that his car, is the Porsche shop car, is starting to come alive now.
Saw Van Lagen really taking a lot of curb and two-wheeling it.
Yeah, I mean, that's that corner I'm talking about. We had a good 4 or 5 cars going all 4 wheels over the white line there. I think they're living a little bit dangerously.
Yeah, I think they are. Look, people pretty close there, weren't they? And Estra just pegged back a bit of the Edwards gap, and Estra's not done yet, I don't think.
No,
Sean.
Definitely, that's right. I think we'll see him trying to push hard to close up. But on that lap, Seidler set the fastest lap of the race so far, so his car is definitely starting to work well.
That shot, very interesting. Quite a lot of different lines. People taking a lot of curb. A couple of people completely missing the apex. Some people right on the edge of the curb.
Yeah, I think that which you will see somewhere, that on the inside there's a big yellow speed bump that you definitely don't want to hit. Right. But I would say all the quick boys will be right over that curb and using as much of the track as they possibly can.
One of the problems, though, with curbing it does tend to put more temperature into the tyres and overheat them.
Well, that's right. And also, if the race is a much longer race, which this isn't, then you're putting wear and tear into the suspension and suspension parts. But these Porsches are built to take that sort of abuse. So any Porsche Cup driver worth his salt will be using everything and everything to make the best of it. And again, Edwards runs slightly wide there, but again, he doesn't seem to lose too much time with it. But Rast again is pushing. Seidler seems to have dropped a little bit this lap. But Rast will be keen to get a podium after the disappointment of yesterday.
Yeah, Edwards running for the 2 Limit racing team. They've got the 3 yellow cars in this race, one of the top Porsche teams for a number of years. Estra still in second place, team third, Rast and Seidler.
Well, we've just seen Edwards there now has taken the fastest lap of the race, so I'm sure there's extra points for that. And again, you see Van Lagen still pushing Christensen as well.
Yeah, Edwards just seemed to eat the lead out a little bit more now.
Yeah, he definitely seems to have it under control, which I think he would have had yesterday if he hadn't let Seidler get inside him in the first couple of laps. So again, they're spreading out a little bit. Again, Rast is starting to close in on Nicky Tim there. But as they come through, there's Seidler, yesterday's winner. Lost a little bit of the pace he had a lap or two ago. And as they pull away down here, there's a couple of battles a little bit further back in the field for sort of 10th, 11th place. But again, these guys are a little bit strung out now. They'll have seen the best of their tyres already, depending on what setup they've got. And there's Edwards going through, much the same line as last time. Estra a little bit more aggressive, all of them pushing as much as they can right out to the grass on each side. Again, using all the curb and a little bit more some places. But and again, this is the battle. I think this is, I would say, Tim is very much under pressure here. Rast will be keen to get past him, but again, obviously, Tim, he wants that last podium place as well. So as they come over to complete 14 of 19 laps, again, the race distance, we have nothing through on the boards at the moment to say that it's been restricted, but again...
There's 8 minutes, just under 9 minutes remaining, so they might get this all in. Van Lagen there, not having the race that he would have hoped for, but at the front, still the only British driver in the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. So in 2012.
Yeah, I think we've got Van Lagen looking there on Christensen on the outside is the hairpin just behind there, side by side, just behind Backler. Van Lagen keen to get up. Again, he would have been further up the field except for that mistake earlier on when he got caught up in, I think it was Seidler defending from, I think it was from Rast, I think. So ended up going onto the grass and losing 2 or 3 places.
There's Backler, and he was one of the drivers that came up through this pick by Porsche. And we were hearing last night, Sean, how tough it was to get through, talking to somebody who hadn't made it through. And
Dennis Trebing, who's out in the Scirocco Cup, he was one of the finalists in that. I mean, it was very intense. I mean, they had 2 days down at Mugello, I think, where they were driving the car. Then immediately they got out of the car, they were being interviewed. They had photo shoots all through the day. Then they're back in the car.
Physical tests as well.
Exactly.
Really
well, that was the first. Before they even sat in a racing car, they were physically tested to make sure that that they were completely up to the job before they even worried about what they looked like or how they drove a racing car. But
or what they said even.
Yes. No. Exactly. I mean, but that's all part of being a professional racing driver.
Absolutely.
Now.
So Edwards now has pulled that lead out to 1.4 seconds and just put in a pretty quick lap, pulled away a little bit from Estra, and team still third, Rast, as we're heading into the final stages of this race.
Yeah, so Rast pushing team there, and also you've got Seidler catching up on the 2. So again, I think they'll be side by side coming into the next downhill right-hander. And
Rast got himself in the right place for this now. Hasn't got enough speed, or has he? Yes, he has.
He's got enough speed, but team should keep it in there, yes. And also, but it looks like Seidler's having a little look. Very, very close there. And again,
Rast got the run now, though.
He has, but again, he's on the outside on the dirty bit of track trying to push Team over. Team shouldn't let him through there. And again, locks a brake, Team, which could allow let him in. Rast has actually done the cut back and pushed him wide. Now, Seidler would want to also follow him through, and he tries to here, but Team doesn't have any of that. So that's Rast, that's a sort of... started at the hairpin, took 3 corners to complete the move.
Yeah, took 3 corners.
Which we saw yesterday in the Porsche Cup as well.
Nicky Team with the Attempto Racing team, one of the top teams in the Carrera Cup. And of course, well, we see some great action here of how Rennie Rast muscled his way through. And there's the team manager from the 2 Libet team.
Well, you can see the passion there from the team. I mean, it's very easy to look at these 20-minute races which we watch here, but all the work that goes back on in the workshop, you know, rebuilding and resetting up these cars is all focused on these 20 minutes. So you can really see it all coming out there. The guy's really passionate about what he's doing. But team hasn't given up yet. He's hanging in there. No. And just behind, you can see Van Lagen having a look around the outside of Christensen. But Seidler will be keen to get past team. He'll have the pace. He'll be disappointed to see Rost starting to squeak ahead, because I'm sure that he had the pace to challenge for that final podium position as well.
Yeah, Rast already pulling away from team. Just in the B category, Mayerl, the Austrian driver, who's a guest driver, doesn't normally compete in this championship, is again winning that. There's our man from Two Limit. There's the Attempto team. Both effectively backed by courier companies or rivals. It's the Hermes back Attempto, which I'm reliably informed is a Latin word to try hard.
Oh, right, good,
That's
good.
a pretty good name for a
well,
team.
That's right, for a racing team, definitely.
There's Rast in the number 14 car. So we've got two limit cars in potential podium positions here. There's Van Lagen still.
Yeah, he's not been able to work his way past Christensen there. He definitely seems to have the legs on him, but hasn't managed to prise open the door yet. You know, as you can see there with Rast, it's very difficult. You know, if the guy's defending well, it takes a good effort. You know, it's a 30-40 second overtake to get past.
Yeah. Van Lagen, a man with single-seat experience, raced in Renault 3.5, was the McGann champion on the World Series by Renault program a few years back. Running down there in 9th place today. Our timing screen says 3 minutes 42 seconds. I think they're just going to get it in, aren't they?
So we should. That's Galmouth having a spin at the first corner. Oh, nearly has another spin coming out again. Loses a bit of bodywork as well. So I'm sure we'll see what happened there.
Galmouth.
Maybe he did that all on his own, because there doesn't seem to be anything else with him. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, he did it all on his own. Loses the back, possibly hitting that curb on the inside we mentioned earlier. Spins all the way round. Nasty flat spots all over his tyres. He won't do his fillings much good over the last couple of laps.
Well, he's in 16th, 17th place. That's where he normally finishes. So he's obviously not one of the front runners, but nevertheless, if you sat in a car and went round the track with him, you'd think you were going jolly fast if you weren't used to it.
Well, that's right. It's very easy to look at these guys who, you know, are 16th, 17th place, but you know, they're only running a second or so off the pace of these front runners who are, you know, professional racing drivers.
Yeah.
So you know, they're doing a great job.
So Edwards now has increased the lead to 2 seconds. It's the biggest margin we've had all through the race as he heads onto the last lap, I believe. Edwards, Estra, Rast team, that's the top four.
So again, Seidler there pushing, very keen to get through. So that's that's Seidler pushing team. He'll be keen to get past there. He's very keen to get his championship up and running. And again, we see Van Lagen looking to the outside of the hairpin. I've got to say, I think Christensen's got that super covered. But having said that, I think Van Lagen's definitely got the undercut here. He should be alongside him when we get to that. Oh, maybe not quite the drive that he had out of that hairpin that I thought he had to start with. But Christensen's defended very, very well. And this is all part of the experience curve. You know, he's got a very experienced driver in Van Lagen behind him who's trying to prise open the gaps from him, but he's defending well and done a good job. And again, Seidler, I think that's going to be his lot for today, really.
Looks like it, yeah. And this race takes them past the halfway point in their championship, which, you know, quite early in the year really for that. We had all these double races at the DTM races, but the previous round of this championship was actually at the Nürburgring 24-hour meeting where there was just one race, but this time it's Sean Edwards coming home to take his third victory of the season, should put him back in the lead of the championship from the young Frenchman Kevin Estra. Rast is third, then it's Nicky Tim, second generation. Seidler has to be content with fifth, having won yesterday. Then it's Jan, Backler and Christensen, the two junior drivers. Van Lagen can only make ninth. And the team celebrate down on the pit wall. But after the disappointment of yesterday, Sean Edwards is back.
I mean, Sean really dominated that one.
He did. I mean, he didn't lead for just the one corner.
Yeah, he controlled it, did a great safety car restart. Estra, having said that, did a great job on the restart as well. But, dominated that race, eked out a lead, controlled it. I mean, he's had a great couple of weeks with his wins at Monaco as well. I'm sure he's a very happy Porsche Super Cup driver at the moment.
He must be, yeah. He just won the Super Cup race at Monaco, so he's in the speed. Had the disappointment of yesterday, but here he is. And sweeping towards the checker flag. And what we hope now, Sean, is suddenly our timing screen doesn't start doing strange things as it did yesterday.
I've just seen it do something because I've just...
Yeah, because...
who have we got? No, none of the leaders have changed. The screen did have a little flicker there, which is what happened yesterday, and we started losing people.
Flickered 4 times, and 4 times the results changed.
But I think the teams look a little bit more on top of it than yesterday. I think we didn't see too much celebrating when people were losing positions there. But no, all the front runners seem to have kept their positions. Did I see? No, that's right. Yeah, no, the top 6 or 7. So here's the final results here, Andy. So we got Edwards in first, then Estra, Rast, Team, Seidler, Jan, Backler. Again, a good result from him. Christensen, Van Lagen, and Schmidt. Then there's Ammermuller, Laser, Frommenweiler, Pavoda, Mayel, Erhardt, Barazetti, Gamauth, Colin, and Nathan.
That's the top 20. And Mayel wins the B category, and they get their own separate podium. And the 2 that were out in that early incident there. And the crowd certainly ramping up here today. We'll see them all still coming in. There's that massive sculpture of the Red Bull. And then the horns. I'm not sure if they're covered in, quite possibly the way Red Bull spend money, covered in gold plate.
I was to say, they're probably not even gold plate, they're probably solid gold.
Yeah.
But again, there's Seidler. He stopped on the track, so he's up with a puncture. So he's got a puncture there. Did we see any contact, maybe with Rast when they had that overtakings to hairpin when Seidler was defending on the inside and Van Lagen ended up on the grass. Maybe that caught a tyre. But Edwards were pleased there. His engineer and team are pleased. It's always good to have a win at the end of the weekend. That's what you go away with thinking about. Then you can forget about that penalty from yesterday.
Got the BRDC badge on the back of his hands device. As we said, the only British driver. The BRDC, you have to qualify to get it. It's not a club you can join. You have to be invited and have substantial racing success internationally. Discussions all round. There's a Frenchman, Kevin Estra.
So a good result for the Deutsche Post team as well. So it's 1st and 3rd on the podium. They'll be pleased with that. And, a good result, especially after yesterday when both of them had penalties.
Yep. So ultimately, Edwards' victory margin was 1.9 seconds. Here's the championship standard. I got it wrong, actually. Estra is still in the lead with 106 points. Edwards has 99, Rast 96. So it's all to play for, isn't it, amongst those 3? Team 4th, Van Lagen, Seidler on 75, Ammermuller 7th, he would have dropped down, Christensen, Eng and Frommenweiler, but still 7 points, and Edwards will sure be fighting at the next round, which will be at the little Norris Ring Street Circuit there. Can we work out if that's solid gold from that shot? The bull was charging us there. There, the fans. They'll be waiting for the DTM cars to come out for their warm-up session.
Yeah, definitely the weather's brought people out today. We had a good crowd here yesterday, and I think coming into the circuit, queues from every available road coming into this fantastic setting.
There's the B section. Barazetti just got a 2nd. Nathan is in 2nd place, but Barazetti 2nd in the B here, gave him some more points. Mayol, of course, has had 2 wins, but I don't believe he's registered. He hasn't competed in any of the previous rounds, so the Austrian will be up on the podium a little later, but we should be moving on to the podium in a moment. The Red Bull Ring, resurrected after it closed in 2003, and after that most of the buildings were knocked down with some planning permission problems, and then finally Dieter Mateschitz, the Austrian boss of the Red Bull Energy Drink Company, did get the go-ahead, and he's done a great job here. A lot of modern buildings, new pit blocks, new grandstands, and it's a super facility. I think you could go as far as say that you could cope with a Formula One race here.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I would have thought that was what they possibly aiming for. The problem with Formula One is it's so expensive for anybody to put an event on now with events all over the world.
You need the government behind you to do it, really.
Yes, that's right. Definitely.
Very few races that haven't got government backing. One of them, of course, is the British Grand Prix. We get the thumbs up from the Tempto team. But Sean Edwards was the man today. I'm sure Dad Guy will be delighted with that. Team boss certainly was.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's great to see. But Red Bull, fair play to them. They put their money where their mouth is. They don't mind investing in things. You've got 2 Formula One teams and a world-class racing facility.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much better than that.
We've got Edwards, and he leaps into the air. Not quite Schumacher style, but nevertheless. And there the team down watching. Hands are shaking. Going to hear British national anthem on Jubilee weekend.
Exactly. You beat me to it. I might even stand to attention.
Yeah. Sean Edwards there with the somewhat unfashionable these days long sideburns. Sideburns.
No,
He used to go very much Elvis. Maybe he's an Elvis fan.
Andy, how can you pretend to be that in touch with what's in fashion at the moment? I think I struggle. So
I used to have sideburns like that, but it was 40 years ago.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah. So nice trophy for the cabinet in Monaco for Sean Edwards. Well, there's the team. Second place then for Kevin Estre for France.
Who also did a great job, I think.
He did.
Yeah, very good job.
I think he's got a big career in front of him, Kevin Estre. And then Rennie Rust. Rennie fought hard to get that third place. We saw that great overtaking manoeuvre, as you said, took about 3 corners to get it done. But,
yeah, very, very impressive. And it showed experience, and a lot of patience. And really, he'd have been thinking that out all the way through, really. And team, actually, from the first move at the hairpin, would have known, I think I might have lost this. But he kept fighting all the way through. But a little bit like a chess game, really, that sort of overtake.
Seen some different techniques for opening the bubbly. Actually, Russ managed to keep well away from it, really. Did Edwards finally get him? Great moments up there on the podium. Remember that for all your life.
And Edwards is really making a name for himself.
Russ getting it now.
You always get your team.
Came up through single-seater racing in the UK, but switched to Porsche Carrera Cup in the UK, and then moving on to the international scene, and done a great job. Difficult following the footsteps of her father, Sean, who's had an excellent racing career. It's not easy to do. Everybody compares you, of course.
That's right. I mean, also Sean is quite a tall lad, really, and single seaters is definitely the home of the jockey, really. You're going to struggle to be 6 foot tall and get in a Formula One car. So he made the right choice, really, to looking at the GT route, if you like.
So here's some images of the race. That was the bit we liked before the start, yeah.
Get the leader housing out.
Yeah. He also had some strange competition at the Porsche Austria party last night, which involved banging nails into a piece of wood, but with the wrong bit of the hammer.
Well, that's right, and I have to say, I think I did beat you.
You
there,
beat me.
But you did start off much. But you had your nail halfway in, as it were. But the Austrians definitely knew their game. We got easily beaten there.
We did. Yeah, it was a bit of fun. The old squeeze box going, and it was an enjoyable evening. But here we are. That was the shunt. Christina Nielsen.
That's caught his lunch there, I think.
Yeah, I think so. There's one of the Land Motorsport cars. A lot of Dutch competitors in this championship.
Well, the Dutch are hugely enthusiastic about the motorsport,
Yeah.
all different levels. They've got a real zest for life, I think.
Yeah, they've only
the
got
Dutch nation, I think.
Yeah, they've only got the 2 tracks, but Zandvoort and Assen, but got a healthy motorsport scene, as you said. Still got the podium for the B drivers to come. Mayerl will be on the top step, and there, just as we say it, it happens. Mayerl shakes hands, Barazzi, and third one was Harry Kolen. So, just one stanza, as they say, of the national anthem of Austria. And you made a comment yesterday, Sean, about the waistlines of these gentlemen drivers.
That's right. I think they might have heard me, because I think they're always set to go on. I think they're holding it in now. So I think
the bloke in third, Kolen, he's all right.
No, that's right. I think he might have some sort of truss on there.
I think so. Can you just see it underneath? Yeah.
I think so.
Here we are.
But it's a little bit rude of me, really. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say that. But and these guys do a great job, and that's what the Porsche Cup is all about. It's just as much about the pros at the front, it's as much about the amateurs further back in the field.
That interview going on there for the German TV station. That guy's pretty well known in Germany. He was facing Formula One TV reporting for a number of years. We just squat a wasp in our commentary box. I never noticed that in the race. I have to say the Deutsche Post cars are sort of wasp coloured.
Yes, that's right. Maybe he's in there, but that's what I'm here for, Andy. I'll sort the wasps out.
And now, finally, after the TV interview comes first, you see, and then now the trophies for these B drivers. This Porsche Carrera Cup. Next up, they'll have a couple of races at the Norris Ring. Then I think they've got a month's break then, head off to the Nürburgring, Zandvoort, Oschersleben and Hockenheim. That's the rest of their calendar. Let's see whether Sean Edwards can carry this success forward. As, again, the bubbly goes. Just the occasional drivers save it, but not very often. So, well, that's about it, I think. We're just, nice little touch there. Bumping the bottles. So, that's the end of the ceremonies. Already the DTM cars are down, about to turn out. And here, more champagne action from a little earlier. As
you can see they're a little bit more practiced at it.
They're better at it, yeah.
A bit more control.
Yeah, got the thumb in the right place. So, from me, Andrew Marriott, and for Sean Hollenby. Sean, thanks very much for joining me, bringing some very valuable insight here. It's goodbye until the next time. We'll be back on the Porsche website from the Norris Ring. And until then, it's au revoir, so long, goodbye.